Hi students, I hope you are doing good. I'm doing good. So today I just want to take you through the unit 7 of our course. And I'm going to record actually everything that we'll be discussing in this unit. So the unit is about the operating system. So we'll be giving an overview of what is really an operating system and how do we use an operating system, when did it start, basically the types of operating systems that are there. So that is what you are going to cover in this unit, operating systems overview, which is unit 7. All right. So an operating system, looking at the overview, an operating system is a program that acts as an interface between the user and the computer hardware and controls the execution of all kinds of programs. What does that mean? Let me show you in the image form. So what is happening, you can see we have users here. Okay, we have 3 users or 4 users is how many users there are. When you open your computer, you as a person, you are a user. So then the operating system, when you open your computer, the operating system here becomes the facilitator or the interface between then you as a user and the hardwares. Okay, the hardwares, let it be CPU, let it be the RAM, the inputs and outputs, and is the one that is also an interface between other applications, such as the application, whether you are using the PowerPoint that I'm using currently, or the Zoom that I'm currently using now to record this system, or we have other system softwares, the utilities that are there to help the computer to run. So all these applications are therefore uh, in the operating system. They operate within the operating system. In another word, if we don't have the operating system, we will not be able to use a computer. Because the first thing when you open your computer like this, what visits you or what you see first on your screen is an operating system welcoming you to the computer and to the inside of the computer. And the inside of the computer, your applications, your games, whatever that you're doing on your computer, you use it because of or because of an operating system. And also for you to be able to use your mouse when you see a cursor on the screen, a cursor like this one, if you're able to see it on the screen, that is because of an operating system allowing you. When you are typing using your keyboard, you type, you are actually typing on the Word document, and this Word document is installed on the operating system. And when you are pressing these keys, they are working because of an operating system. So that is what an operating system is. And that's why it is important. Talking of the importance of an operating system, now let's look at the functions of an operating system. So we have memory management, is the one that does the management, is the one that do the addressing, is the one that allocates processes to which location of a memory it needs to go to. Okay, apart from that, it also manage processes. Processes, meaning the programs that are being executed by the CPU are called processes. So it's the one that is actually managing that. And then it does manage devices, okay, that are being installed on the computer. Talk of any kind of a device that you plug to the computer, it's being managed by an operating system. And the file management, I think we'll also talk of the file management into more details. How does it work? When you are saving a file in a folder, that is being managed by an operating system. It's a job of an operating system to do that. And then we talk of security-wise, you notice when you install your operating system, it always comes with this security management part of it. It asks you to update your things. It asks you when there's a virus, or when your computer is not it's being attacked, it always notify you. That is the operating system. That is what it does. Okay, so and then it controls now the overall performance of the system itself. When you want to check how your computer works and how fast it's working, you do that on the operating system. And it does job counting. Okay, so the job, meaning the work that is being done within the process, it's being counted by the operating system. It detects what errors, like I have told you, it does tell you when there's something that is not working within your computer. It is the job of an operating system to notify and to bring up those notice and alerts that they always bring up. And then it coordinates now between other softwares and users. So that is actually the job and the functions of an operating system. Now, how did the operating system start? Where did it started? Okay, so that is the evolution of operating system. The first one was serial processing. This is not an operating system because this one, it was the programmers that used to interact with the computer, with the machine. And we move now to simple batch processing, meaning the job needs to be collected. After it has been collected, then it's being processed at the same time, at the intervals times. Okay, job of the similar process or process with the similar jobs, they will be collected and they will be processed in a bunch, okay, at the certain intervals. Then we went now to tasking batch processing. Now, multitasking batch processing, this is a process, this becomes now an operating system. I say the serial processing is not an operating system. So the operating system started now with batch processing. Then we come to multitasking. So it allows now a computer to be able to do a lot of processes at the same time. Then we come to time sharing, where a computer can actually have multiple users working at the same time. Okay, just to get into details of these operating systems. Like I said, the serial processing, it's not an operating system because most of the work is done by the programmer. Like I said, the programmer set up and control the computers in early computers by loading programs using patch cards and magnetic tape. So they actually do it themselves. It's not an operating system. Remember the functions that I was telling you about an operating system earlier? So all those functions are being done by the programmer in this processing, which is a serial processing. And it started actually in 1940s to somewhere in 1950s. Now, when it comes to batch processing, like I said, this is the first operating system, and it has been created by General Motors. Okay, so it was in 1950s. So as well, to run IBM central computers, jobs are bunched together by types of language and the requirements. Then a special program, the monitor, manages the execution of each program in the batch. Okay, so the monitor is always in the main memory and available for execution. So this time there was a monitor that is there to collect all the jobs and then being processed in a bunch on an interval space. Okay, so that is a bunch. This is the first operating system. Then we have multitasking. And if you remember the diagram, the multitasking was the first one. And then in this multitasking, the operating system picked up and begins to execute one of the jobs from the memory. Okay, so it will take now the jobs from the memory. Once this job needs an input, and operating system switches to another job. So it can actually do a lot of job at the same time. Okay, it's multitasking. It's no longer have to collect jobs together, then they will be executed. The ones that belongs to one, they will be executed. This time it can actually switch among different jobs. It doesn't have to wait for one job to be performed, but it can actually do multitasking. When it comes to time sharing in extension of multitasking, time sharing is a technique for multiple users to share the system resources simultaneously, meaning you have multiple users. You can have user 1, user 2, user 3 on one computer, and they can actually share a system and the resources simultaneously, meaning at the same time, continuously. Okay, resources now in terms of computer, that means they can share a printer, they can actually share files, memory, CPU. So all these things, they can actually be done at the same time. And that is a time sharing operating system. Okay. Now when we are looking at the modern or the new operating systems, remember, firstly, we did not have an operating system, and then we started with a batch processing. That was our first operating system. But when it comes now to the modern operating system, we have the Multex operating system. The Multex, it was a time sharing system running continuously on a large complex mainframe computer. In a previous class, I know you have learned of types of computers, and the types of computers, you have a supercomputer, you have a mainframe, you have a mini computer, and then you have a microcomputer. So now with the mainframe, then Multex used to run on these computers because they are very large computers with a vast file system to share programs and data. And then we had, or we still have Unix. Okay, Unix is an operating system for mini computers. Okay, that is also one of the operating system, one of the strong operating system. So the size and the split is the simplicity of it and clean design of Unix system encourage programmers at sites other than Bell Labs to experiment or to experience with Linux development. Okay, it's one of those operating systems for mini computers, while Multex was complex for mainframe, Unix for mini computers, right? Then now we go to Microsoft Corporation. This is not an operating system. However, this is a company that creates operating systems, but we'll get into details how does Microsoft Corporation comes in. And this is by Bill Gates and Paul Allen. They're the ones who came up with this cooperation. Now, Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak, they are the ones who came up with Apple. This is an operating system or one, and then Apple II. Now with Apple II is a simple operating system that came on the disk and accepted basic command. So it was running on a command line, okay, like it wasn't having any interface. You needed to know how to do some commands to use this kind of operating system. Is the same as Apple I. Okay. Then in 1990s, then we had our 86 DOS, which is disk operating system. Now this operating system is the one that has been developed by Microsoft Corporations. Okay, but the first developer then is Tim Peterson. Now Tim Peterson developed this, and it was a command line as well, just like Apple II and Apple I. It did not have any user interface, and it was being used then in IBM computers. Okay, so they came up with this operating system. So Tim Peterson then sold this operating system to Microsoft. Okay, then in 1984, Macintosh came into the picture. So this was the first commercial successful computer with a graphic user interface. The graphic user interface means that you are no longer using a command prompt, or you are no longer using a command line to tell a computer what to do. This time you can actually use a mouse, you have pictures, you have images here and there, you have buttons, you have pull down and pull up menus. You can actually, and other image portion, it was actually what? The Macintosh, and it's from Apple. Okay, the Steve Jobs, they're the ones who came up with Macintosh. Now, after Macintosh in 1985, then comes Windows 1.0. Okay, this is also now from Microsoft Corporation. They come up with their Windows 1. Now also, it had what? A user interface. Okay, so, but the first computer to have user interface, it was a Macintosh. Okay, so this one just gives you an overview of Microsoft Windows. Now, Microsoft is the one that is being used commonly. Many people uses Microsoft operating system compared to any other operating systems. Okay, so, and that is the variety when it started with the user interface. So it started with now Windows 1 to up to Windows 11 currently that we are having at this moment. Then now it comes to, we'll now discuss the traditional and the modern Unix system. Remember, you say Unix, it is used in many computers. So Unix, then I've already explained, it's an operating system, but this system was actually developed in 70s by the group of employees at AT&T Bell Labs to be used inside Bell systems only, okay? And it was actually developed by Ken Thompson and then Demis Richter. In the late 1970s, so what they did was, they now started giving out licenses so that other companies and other parties, they can actually start using Linux instead of, Unix, instead of it just being used in the Bell systems. Okay. Now Unix systems are characterized by a module design, which is actually a Unix philosopher. And of course, this operating system provide a set of simple tools. Now this becomes now what does it do? What does this operating system do? So each of which performs a limited and well-defined function. Okay, so these modules, or we call them Unix philosophies. So they perform well-defined functions for each. They provide that. And then the tools are such as they had tools such as Unix file system for you to do your filing, the pipes, which serve as the main means of communication. And then they had the Unix shell. Okay, and then currently Unix gradually gained portabilities, meaning now you can have multitasking, you have multi-users computer capabilities, and of course in time sharing configuration. So that is what now the modern Unix does. And then you have Unix system are characterized by various concepts. The use of the plain text for storing data, that is what is coming up now. And then they have hierarchical filing system, just like Windows operating system, they also have that. And then treating devices and certain types of interface in some process communication as files. And then the use of large number of software tools, that is what they have. Small programs that can be strung together through a command line, interpreted using pipes, okay, as opposed to use a single monolithic program that includes all of the same functionalities. So that is actually the Unix, and this is the sign or the logo of Unix. If you find this, just know that this is Unix, the operating system. Then now comes Linux. Okay, so remember, we have Unix, we have Linux. Now, Linux is the best known as the most used operating open source. Open source means you don't buy, you don't need a license. You can just get it for free. Okay, like other operating systems, Linux has a graphic user interface, and the same types of softwares you are accustomed to. So it's having all the other applications, Word document, you need to type, you have Word, you have slides, you have all the applications that you want. You can play games, you can play music, you can do anything else with your Linux operating system. The code used to create Linux is free and available to the public to view, edit, and for users with the appropriate skills to contribute to. So that means you can actually develop your own Linux operating system, and the codes are free, available for everyone to view them and to use them and to add. Okay. And then there are many distributions of Linux. In terms of distribution, meaning that we have different types of Linux. We don't just have one Linux operating system. We have a lot. And this is because a lot of people came up with their own operating system. And this is because the source codes are free. You are able to get them and you can actually manipulate them to come up with your own operating system. Companies and individuals choose Linux for their services because it's secure and it's flexible, and you can receive excellent support from a large community of users. So because now a lot of people, they have source codes, they can actually give advice on how to use the Linux, and you have a whole community of users that can give you advice on how you can use Linux. And many devices such as Android phones, that is one of the operating systems that you're going to talk about. Tablets, Chromebook, digital storage devices, personal video recordings, cameras, wearable, and others also run on Linux. So most of the softwares and most of the operating system, they also still run on Linux. That's how powerful Linux is. And that is the sign of Linux. If you see that, just know that that is Linux operating system. Okay. And then we now move to the next operating system, which is actually Android. Android is a mobile operating system based on modified version of Linux kernel. So like we have already explained that Linux, a lot of other operating systems run on Linux. Okay. So Linux, that is the power that Linux is actually having. And then talking now of Android, is a mobile device, but Android is not the only operating system. It's just that we also have Apple operating system, which is now the Mac operating system for, not Mac, but Apple, the one that runs on iPhones. So it's one of also the mobile operating system. Okay. And then so the development of Android started in 2003. Okay, so which was purchased later by Google in 2005. The first public release of mobile of Android 1.0 occurred with the release of T-Mobile G1. Okay, so that is the which is also called the HTC Dream, and this was released in 2008. And that is the sign of Android, and this is where we got the information that we're currently talking about. So you can actually go and read further. So this brings us to the end of Unit 7. To summarize, just know we have spoken about the overview of the operating system. What is the operating system? How it works, the functions of the operating system. We also looked at the evolution or the history or the beginning of operating systems. And we say there are four evolution of operating system. The serial processing, and remember this time there was no operating system. The job was actually done by the programmers. The first operating system, it was a bunch processing, and then we moved to multitasking and then multi-sharing. We also then looked at the modern operating systems, starting with Multics, then we went to Unix, and we discussed more on Unix, the modern and the old Unix. And then we have spoken about now the history, the Macintosh, the Windows operating system, Linux, until we ended with the Android operating system. Okay, so this brings us to the end of the unit 7. So I will see you in the next unit. And of course, for your questions, please do not forget to go on the LMS and put your questions there, or even here at the video here, just on the comment below, you can put your questions there and we will discuss. Okay, see you in the next unit.